When people think of 1600s France, they imagine absolute power, giant wigs, toxic levels of perfume, and Louis XIV standing around like he invented sunlight itself. Which, to be fair, he kinda thought he did. But hidden behind the glittering curtains of Versailles was one of the most strangest, most fascinating royals in European history. A war hero, a fashion icon, a political threat in heels, and arguably history's most powerful femboy, Philippe I, Duke of Orleans. And no, this is not internet exaggeration for clicks. France genuinely looked at this man wearing makeup, ribbons, pearls, and enough lace to bankrupt a curtain factory and said, yeah, put him in command of the army. Human civilization remains an improv sketch with taxes. Philippe was born in 1640 as the younger brother of Louis XIV, which immediately created a problem, because in royal families, younger brothers had a nasty habit of overthrowing their kings. Europe basically ran on sibling rivalry and lead poisoning, so Philippe's mother, Anne of Austria, and France's top political operators came up with a galaxy brain situation. What if we made him too fabulous to start a rebellion? So from childhood, Philippe was dressed in elaborate feminine clothing, encouraged to dance, wear jewelry, use makeup, and participate in courtly theatrics. And here's the thing, it did not make him weak at all. Instead, Philippe became confident, charismatic, terrifyingly intelligent, and completely comfortable, ignoring gender expectations centuries before modern discourse existed. Meanwhile, half the men at Versailles was collapsing emotionally because somebody insulted their feather hat. Philippe absolutely loved fashion, not casually, not nice jacket levels. This man approached fashion like a Dark Souls boss. He wore enormous wigs, perfume, high heels, ribbons, earrings, silk sleeves, and enough gemstones to trigger nearby economic inflation. And he openly had male favorites and romantic relationships at court. The most famous was probably Philip of Lorraine, who basically became the royal equivalent of that one emotionally chaotic boyfriend your family hates. Louis XIV tolerated a lot of this because Philippe stayed politically loyal. Mostly. And also because Versailles itself was already operating at maximum theatrical nonsense. Everybody was wearing tights. Men were out here fighting duels over headache and hoot while dressed like expensive wedding cakes. The entire palace looked like an Eurovision final sponsored by Catholicism. Here's where the story gets hilarious. Despite the court treating Philippe like a decorative side character, he turned out to be an extremely, surprisingly capable military commander. During the Franco-Dutch War, Philippe led French forces at the Battle of Cassel in 1677. 6-7. And he won decisively. Not barely survived, won. He crushed the opposition like a cube. Imagine being some hardened Dutch soldier expecting a fragile aristocrat and suddenly getting outmaneuvered by a twink wearing lace cuffs and enough perfume to chemically alter the atmosphere. That had to sting. Historians generally agree Philippe showed real tactical ability, which became awkward for Louis XIV, because kings tend to dislike being overshadowed by their younger brother, who looks like he raised Sapporo with military precision. After the victory, Louis quietly limited Philippe's future military command. Classic monarchy move. Congratulations on your success. Please never succeed that hard again. Philippe married twice and had children because royal families viewed marriage less as romance and moved more as diplomacy. diplomatic paperwork with emotional casualties. His second wife, Elizabeth Charlotte, Princess Palatine, left behind brutally honest letters describing court life. And honestly, those letters are basically the 17th century equivalent of reading celebrities' group chat leaks. She talked openly about Philippe's relationships, his personality, Versailles gossip, and the sheer absurdity of court culture, which is valuable because Versailles was a machine powered entirely by appearances. Nobody could simply exist normally. People woke up at dawn just to watch Louis XIV put on shoes. Entire careers depending on standing in the correct corner while somebody important ate soup. Humanity invented spaceflight and antibiotics. Yet somehow this species also invented ceremonial soup watching. Philippe died in 1701 after an argument with Louis XIV, which honestly feels fitting, but his legacy survived. The House of Orléans became massively important in French history, eventually producing Louis Philippe I, who ruled France in the 1800s. And today, Philippe stands out because it completely breaks modern assumptions about masculinity in history. People try to force historical figures into neat categories. Philippe refused that completely. He was flamboyant, emotional, fashion-obsessed, openly affectionate toward men, and undeniably masculine by the standards that mattered in his world. Courage, status, military success, and confidence. The man wore pearls into battle-era politics and still commanded armies. That's commitment. So next time somebody says history is boring, remember, 17th century France once had a high-heeled war hero covered in lace and diamonds leading cavalry charges while the Sun King stress spiraled in the background. And honestly, Philly probably would have loved modern social media for about 6 minutes before getting canceled for insulting somebody's curtains. Goodbye, everyone.